Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is yet another vlog. And as usual in these type of videos, I show you some stuff that I picked up, I give my thoughts on a few things, and so on and so forth. But, as you can see in the title, there's something I want to talk about. And I want to get it out of the way first, so it's not hanging over the rest of the video. So anyway, as you can see by the title, I created a Patreon account. I have a link for it in the video description down below. And I honestly created it because I thought it would be a fun thing to try out. And you don't have to join if you don't want to. It's not one of those things where I am in dire need of money. I'm doing okay on that front. I just thought it would be a fun thing to try out. I don't have any experience doing it, and the only way I could really get any experience is by giving it a shot. And since YouTube's monetization is an absolute nightmare, I thought, that might be an okay venue to try to see if I can get, something like that going for people who really enjoy and like my content and like what I put together. And if you don't want to join, I have no problem with that at all. It's ultimately up to you. Those of you that are curious, I have a bunch of different tiers with a lot of different perks. So feel free to check it out and join if you want. And if you don't, it's totally fine with me. I got to be honest here. I've been really blessed to have whatever support and whatever views and whatever uh, kind words that I've gotten or gifts or anything from anyone who's ever watched anything that I've ever done on here. So, and I know there's been some people who have asked me before, do I have one? So I decided, why not give it a shot and see what happens from there. But that's so yeah. I have a Patreon account. You can go check it out. I'm not going to be plugging it in every video, so don't worry about that. But anyway, it's there if you're interested, and if you're not, whatever. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's really not a big deal. Just your continued support through just watching these videos or leaving comments is more than enough. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get right into the rest of the video. So I went to a thrift store and a local record shop today, and I picked up a few things. The only VHS I got is this: the Best of Saturday Night Live SNL Goes Commercial. So this is from a special that aired on TV, I think in like the early 90s sometime. That's hosted by Victoria Jackson and Kevin Nealon. And I got it because I'm a big fan of vintage Saturday Night Live. Some of the only way to get some of these sketches from this particular era is on VHS, because you can't really get it on physical media anywhere else. And I also really enjoy the commercial parodies. I have the DVD, the Best of Commercial Parodies DVD, but this one has some commercial parodies that are not on that DVD. Plus, it was only a quarter. So yeah, I thought it was definitely worth it. It has a lot of classics on here, of course. Buckwheat Sings, and one of my personal favorites, Colon Blow. Colon blowing you in the morning. So SNL goes commercial. Then we have an oddity. This is a DVD release of Excess Baggage. No, it is not a VCD release. It's a DVD release. I saw this for $1 at the record shop, and I was like, I had to pick it up because I rarely see DVDs in these kind of jewel cases, unless it's from a company like, I think is it Scimitar or Platinum? Some company does releases like this, but they have like cardboard sleeves. In fact, I have one. I'm gonna go get it real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Apex Entertainment. So Apex Entertainment had releases like this, where okay, it looks more like a computer disc. you know, like an old school computer game. And what happens is you slide out the DVD case from the bottom, and it's a jewel case. So that's the only other time I remember seeing anything like that, is with those type of releases. So this is kind of cool, and I don't have the film on DVD anyway. And speaking of relics, here's a really old thing. So this is an old booklet that Columbia Tristar Home Video made to promote DVD. Now on one small disc, you can own the biggest and the best in motion picture entertainment. Wow. Imagine a home entertainment system that provides digital audio and image, sharp, clear, crisp playback, multiple languages, audio and subtitles, direct scene access, call up any scene at the push of a button. Remember when scene selection was considered to be a big thing? Nowadays this is what people call bare bones. But back in 1997, it blew people's minds. I could select a scene? Holy shitballs. Ease of use, no rewinding, fits easily on a shelf. Parental control allows parents to supervise programming. That's not a pro. That's not a perk. Collectability, an ongoing series of the best in contemporary and classic films from Columbia Tristar Home Video. Well, imagine no longer. DVD is all of this and more. So apparently there are other releases like this. Anaconda, Bad Boys, Dracula, Cliffhanger, Last Action Hero, Jumanji, Johnny Mnemonic, even some more over there. Apparently there was going to be, it looks like there's going to be Air Force One and Single White Female. I don't think those ever actually got released because this was not a very popular format of packaging for DVD. This is another kind of funny thing. So there's like an actual info thing about language selection. It's like giving you instructions on how to select the the soundtracks, the English tracks of different tracks. And then, like, oh, here's a care tip and disc removal instruction sheet. Like, it literally has to tell people, like, to remove the disc from its case, press the push here button on the hub located at the center of the disc. Using your other hand, gently remove disc by its outer edge. Never remove disc by prying its outer edge, you dumbass. So, yeah, I just thought that was... It's just, you don't see that kind of stuff anymore, of course, because it's, you know, it's redundant and it's not necessary. But that just shows you how new of a thing DVD was. So, got some more DVDs. This film called Brigham City that I've never heard of, but apparently it's got a lot of good reviews, so sure. Larry King liked it. Wilford Brimley is in it. I kind of like the concept. So it's about a small town that's being terrorized by a serial killer. So give it a shot. I got Ghost Son, and what I really like about this cover is is the marker on it. The marker message is okay. Ghost Son is okay, I guess. Like, who does that? Who buys a movie and then, like, takes a Sharpie and then writes the quality of the movie on the cover of the disc? They're like, it's okay. Great. Good. Terrible. Fuck this movie. Like, I mean, who fucking does that? I just thought that was funny. Then we have some more. Speaking of funny, I got some comedies. Daddy's Home, mainly because I wanted to see if Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg could capture the same magic that they did in The Other Guys. Another Will Ferrell film, The House, which I actually saw a while back and I did actually enjoy. So I wanted to add that to my collection. And Passengers, I know it's supposed to be like god awful and shitty, but I like Chris Pratt and the concept interests me. And I got this with in-store credit, so it's not like I really paid anything. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, the 2-disc special edition with Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. I've heard a lot of interesting, good things about this one, so I decided to add it to my collection. Speaking of classics, got another one. The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. Midnight Movies release. Tower of Terror with Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst. And got this god-awful, ugly-looking Blockbuster Video Blu-ray disc case. I hate this. I hated that they did this. They just took a DVD case that they would use for their DVDs that were previously viewed, and then they would take the Blu-ray cover art out and they would glue it to this ugly-ass blue piece of paper that says Blu-ray disc, and then they would stick all their stickers and shit on there, and then they would sell it like this. It's the ugliest shit ever. But it didn't cost me that much, and I'm curious about this one. I've always been curious about this one. Christina Ricci, Justin Long, Liam Neeson. And I actually haven't seen it, so... And it didn't cost me that much, so I thought for a Blu-ray, sure, I could deal with the ugly-ass cover art. This is one of my favorite finds of today, Dark Forces. This is a Elite Home Entertainment DVD. These are out of print. I don't even think this company even exists anymore. So to find these for like a couple bucks is a pretty good deal. I think this film was known as Harlequin. Simon Windsor directed it. It has a commentary track with him. So Dark Forces. I think the original title was Harlequin, but when it was released in the US on DVD, it was Dark Forces. I think it's pretty cool that there's a vintage Elite Entertainment ad here. Elite Entertainment did some decent stuff back in the day. They really did. Interesting scene index piece of paper. But really, I like this ad for Elite Entertainment. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, Dark Forces. So that's it for the DVDs. Then I got got a handful of Blu-rays here. Not like a ton of them. This is a lot shorter update than the previous one. We got Congo, which was a gift sent to me by a good friend of mine named Mike. Thank you so much, Mike. Really glad to have this on Blu-ray. Bare Bones, which sucks. Surprised there's no Stop Eating My Sesame Cake edition. Like I'm surprised there isn't something like that, like Congo, the Sesame Cake edition. But you know, that's probably never gonna happen. I've always liked Congo. I think it's underrated. I think it's actually a pretty good movie, and I wanted to get it on Blu-ray because I only had it on DVD. It's a fun adventure flick. I got Aquaman for the collection, and also for a potential review, because I have Shazam, and I was planning on reviewing it anyway around the same time. So, also, I didn't pay anything for this. It was a trade-in, so I didn't pay anything for this disc. So, Aquaman with Roman Reigns of the Sea. The Other Guys on Blu-ray, the unrated Other edition. I only had it on DVD and wanted to get it on Blu-ray. I saw this in the theater, surprised me. I didn't think Mark Wahlberg was going to work, but he did. Michael Keaton almost steals the movie as the police chief. He's so good. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite comedies from the past decade or so, is The Other Guys. I really enjoyed this one. Looking forward to revisiting that sometime. Another comedy I really enjoyed, another just film that I enjoy, period, is Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. I only had this on DVD, so got a chance to pick up this Blu-ray as a trade-in, and it was like totally, absolutely, 100%. Nomads. This cover art is really cool, but this movie is not supernatural in any way whatsoever. I only had this on VHS. Decided to get this because it was on sale through a Facebook seller, so I decided to pick it up. So yeah, Nomads, and it was a pretty good deal. Decided to get it for the collection. This is one of the earlier releases from Scream Factory. Um, I think it's, yeah, John McTiernan. Yeah, it's his directorial debut, if I remember correctly. And I also, speaking of Facebook seller, I also bought like all of the Hatchet films from a seller, but there's a little bit of delay right now, so I'm just waiting for them to get sent out in the mail. So we'll see what happens. Got this because it was cheap at a thrift store. It's probably pretty bad, but I mean, it's got a sequel, so. But then again, that doesn't really mean anything. I don't know. It's probably, I kind of like the concept. Kind of sounded interesting, so I don't know. I'll give it a watch sometime. Yes, I pre-ordered this and I got it. My Bloody Valentine, the collector's edition from Scream Factory. I'm still not super big on this slipcover. It's all right, but I just think it's pretty basic looking. There are other cover art I like more. I'm glad I can do the reverse for the cover art. Really cool that it has all those other features and stuff like that on here, plus new features, plus a new remaster version of the uncut version in 4K. Kind of cheaped out on the back though. Like normally they list all the features, but it looks like they just decided to go and more because I guess there was just too many. But that's a minor gripe. But yeah, My Bloody Valentine. It's so great to finally see this classic get the treatment it deserves on Blu-ray, and to get a collector's edition from Scream Factory. So yeah, My Bloody Valentine. And speaking of Scream Factory, here's a collector's edition of Land of the Dead. This was another gift. This is from Mike once again, who sent me Congo. He also sent me this. Very gracious for Mike for sending me this, and for just being a good friend and everything like that. The gift of friendship means every bit as much as stuff like this. But anyway, yeah, this is for the Dead collection. I did not even have this on Blu-ray in any format. I mean, in any way beforehand. I only had it on DVD, and I think like a double feature or something like that with some other movie. And speaking of the Dead films, there is some updates on the second sight release of Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 classic. They did recently say something, I think like a few weeks ago, that they are now in the process of remastering it and putting it through the computer and doing all that good stuff. So it's safe to say it's probably going to come out sometime this year. And they're hoping that Martin also comes out sometime this year too. But yeah, Land of the Dead, Collector's Edition. And then we have the Angry Video Game Nerd Big Fucking Gun Collection. It's called the BFG of Blurays. And I decided to pick this up because I think I saw somebody mention it or say something about it on a Facebook group. And I had enough income that I could splurge on something like this. And I did not have any of the previous releases of AVGN, so I decided to go and get this. And it was not cheap. I pre-ordered it. It cost me what, $70 or something, or more. So it wasn't cheap. But a lot of these other AVGN Blu-rays aren't cheap either. They're like $30 each. So it was actually I thought a pretty good deal. This artwork is honestly really badass. And Angry Video Game Nerd is one of the few series of internet reviewers out there that I still feel has a lot of really good episodes in it. There's a lot of stuff like Nostalgia Critic that isn't really remotely close to what it once was. But Angry Video Game Nerd, there still are really great episodes that come out even in the past year or so. Yes, there are more duds than before. There's stuff that I'm not really too fond of because James is trying something new that I wasn't really that big into, like his review of Immortal, for instance. but I still respect it and I still appreciate it nonetheless. I appreciate the fact that he's trying to do something different. He's trying to keep the character fresh and new. Other than clipless reviews, Nostalgia Critic hasn't done anything to keep that character relevant or do anything new or original with him. Also, I mean, so many of the early episodes are some of my favorite reviews ever, so I definitely wanted to get my hands on this. And it's just a great presentation. It looks great. I mean, the cover is fantastic, and it's a sturdy Blu-ray case. It's a lot, you know. And there's cover art for all of the discs. Even with that annoying head, like, where did you learn to fly? Where did you learn to fly? Where did you learn to fly? So then you have a bunch of stuff. Apparently there's a bunch of different features and stuff like that. Extra stuff. Bonuses. And there's extra spaces for other AVGM Blu-rays. So yeah. If you're a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd and you don't have this, you don't have any of the previous releases, I would say it might be worth it to splurge and get this box set. Now that I've praised this and praised James, now I can kind of diss James a little bit. He did a video recently that was called Top 10 Reasons Why Blu-ray Sucks. And I honestly feel the video should have been retitled Top 10 Reasons Why This Video Sucks. Because this video was terrible. I respect James Rolfe immensely. I appreciate him a lot and what he's brought to YouTube and what he's brought to the reviewing community in general. And I think he's genuinely a good guy. But in this particular instance, I think he was pretty badly misguided, and I thought a lot of his opinions in that video were questionable, to say the least. 90% of his issues with updates, with not being able to skip trailers, with all these other things he was having issues with in terms of technical difficulties with Blu-ray, were due to the fact that he was using a PlayStation 3. I mean, like, it's not really a fair way to criticize the format if you're using an older player. Like, what, really? Like, why aren't you using a modern player? Why are you using a PlayStation 3? And then he would say, well, I like this remote that the PlayStation 3 has that has a Bluetooth option. I can't find any other remotes that have Bluetooth. Ever heard of a Logitech Harmony? Ever heard of, ever heard of Google? Ever heard of, like, getting one of your tech-savvy friends to do a Google search and look up a Bluetooth-enabled remote? It's 2020. I'm pretty sure that there is another option for a Bluetooth-enabled remote that isn't just a PlayStation 3 remote. And you know, if that was just it, okay, all right, it's just little nitpicks on his part. But he didn't research at all. He was making claims like Blu-ray is a dumb name because a red ray is used to read the disc, and that's not the case at all. A Blu-ray is used to read a Blu-ray. That's why it's called a Blu-ray. That's why Sony decided to call it a Blu-ray, is because a blue laser is used to read the disc. And then other stuff like saying that Blu-ray sucks because the menus are really stock. Like, that was something that was not a thing with DVD. Like, most DVD menus were stock menus. I have a ton of DVDs that just have a picture and all the scene selection stuff, just like the ones he's bringing up as examples to why Blu-ray sucks. Those little fun, quirky, animated menus you were talking about in Wayne's World and all that other stuff, those are exceptions to the rule. There are numerous more DVDs out there that have really stock, generic menus than there are ones that have fun, quirky menus like The House of a Thousand Corpses. I'm just saying. Like, that's not just a Blu-ray thing. I mean, for instance, some of Warner's earliest releases and their Warner Archive titles are the laziest menus I have ever seen and that anyone will ever see. I mean, the little photo with the stock setup and everything that the Blu-rays have that James had such an issue with, those are amazing in comparison to Warner Archive and early Warner Brothers discs, which just have a stock photo of the Warner Brothers logo and just blocky options for scene select, and that's it. So I think that complaint was pretty lame. Another lame complaint of his was about the packaging. Yes, the original Back to the Future box set was a nightmare. So was something like the Omerta trilogy from by not Universal. Who is it? Who did it? I mean, I should know this. I think it's 20th Century Fox. So is the Godfather or Murder trilogy box set. Like, that's a nightmare as well. There are a lot of ones that are nightmares, that are just a pain in the ass. But DVD also had, like, shitty box sets, too, with, like, shitty packaging. So, I mean, for instance, one of the original Friday the 13th box sets from Paramount, I think the one they did after the Crystal Lake sets, the one that came with the free mask, that is one of the worst ever. Because it has, cardboard sleeves, but they're for DVDs. And unlike Blu-rays, DVDs scratch a lot easier. So when James is complaining about the Blu-ray sets that you have to slide in and out of a book, I mean, it could be a hell of a lot worse. Look at the Friday the 13th set where it was DVDs where you're sliding in and out of a cardboard slipcase. Or something like this. This Kids in the Hall box set. This is a DVD. This is not Blu-ray. First off, it opens up like this, which is lame. Doesn't even have an actual top or, something to cover up the top of the case. And all the discs are in these fucking sleeves. And they're DVDs. They're not Blu-rays, so they'll get scratched a lot easier than a Blu-ray will. So it's not like bad packaging is a Blu-ray specific thing. He also brings up the Godzilla box set from Criterion, and yes, that's a behemoth and that's ridiculous. But that's a Criterion problem. A lot of these packaging problems he's talking about are an individual basis. It's an issue with the manufacturer. It's an issue with the company that makes them. Because there are a lot of other box sets, like the person who made his AVGN box set, for instance, they don't have the same fucking problems. So, and then he says something that the one thing that really sent me through the roof, and he was like, there's no special features. I'm like, what the fuck are you smoking, James? There's no special features. Like, what the DVDs had special features. Yes, some did. There's a reason why bare bones disc is a term, because there were a hell of a lot of DVDs that were bare bones and didn't have any special features. I mean, most of Paramount's catalog that got released on DVD is the epitome of something with no special features. So it's not just a Blu-ray only thing. In fact, there are more Blu-rays out there that have more features than there are DVD. I mean, there are buttloads of DVDs that have nothing except maybe a trailer. While there's a lot of Blu-rays out there, even the most generic titles of current releases that at least have something in terms of features. But yeah, I just that one just pissed me off. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? We got Arrow Video, we got Screen Factory. I mean, there's so many features on this release of My Bloody Valentine that they can't even fit all in the back of the box. That being said, I still really appreciate and I respect James immensely. That video sucked, though. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, that was great. No, it was terrible. It was really bad. And then he did the whole thing where he's talking about, oh, streaming is better because it's convenient. And you know what I do? Like, sometimes I rent a movie I already own on DVD. And I'm like, I guess you just, clearly you have enough money to just throw at, rentals, digital rentals. Not everyone has that option. and just willy-nilly just like, hey, I can't find this movie. I can't find My Name is Bruce. I'm just gonna rent it. Like, why even have a collection that big and that immense if you're not even going to use it? Is it just for show? Is that what it is? I mean, yes, I haven't watched a lot of the films that I have, but it's because I haven't had the same amount of time that James does. Also, I mean, James has the ability to display it all in order, in whatever way he wants, on shelves. I don't have the space to store all of my stuff on shelves in alphabetical order. I have stuff all over the place. I have stuff in stacks. I have stuff in totes. I have stuff in boxes. Like, I would love to be in his shoes where I could just go into my movie room and, there it is. Let me grab it and I'll go watch it. But, whatever. So anyway, that's my rant on James Rolfe's uh, pretty Rolfe-inducing video on 10 reasons why Blu-ray sucks. So speaking of Blu-ray, and let's talk about a couple upcoming releases. Vinegar Syndrome are doing a release of Deadline, which is a horror film that for many years was only available on VHS or beta. So I'm really looking forward to giving that a look. I already pre-ordered a copy. It's got a newly scanned and restored 2K remaster from 35mm Vault Elements. Got an interview with the producer, Henry Less. It's got an interview with the cinematographer, Manfred Goff. So, little, not a whole lot in terms of features, but this is a film that is fairly obscure and also had never gotten a DVD release before. So, I'm all right with that. So, I'm looking forward to that one. And, apparently, Scream Factory has announced the special features list for their upcoming release of April Fool's Day. And I gotta be honest, it's a little bit of a letdown. There's no interviews with Deborah Foreman or Amy Steele, which sucks. It doesn't have a remastered version. There's no remastered, rescanned print, which I don't get. My Bloody Valentine is remastered in 4K, and they optioned it with Paramount, so they weren't able to do the same with April Fool's Day. I don't understand. Why is this not remastered? Why is this going to be the same print that's probably going to be that was used on this other overseas release? And if it is, that's not good, because I've heard that particular transfer is pretty bad. I've heard some bad things about that. And yeah, there are bonus features like an interview with the director, an interview with Deborah Goodrich Royce, interview with Clayton Rohner, interview with the composer Charles Bernstein, interview with the cinematographer Charles Minsky, trailers, TV spots, no commentary track, if you're into that kind of thing, which is surprising since there's an interview with Fred Walton. But hey, if you want a commentary track, well, you're shit out of luck. You're not getting one. And the other interviews you don't get. You don't even get any of the Q&As that were done for screenings of the film in the past, which actually had more people involved in the movie that were doing questions and answers. So you don't even have that on the release. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but it's still really nice that it's getting a release, and I'll probably still pick it up. But yeah, I just had to be honest there. It was a little disappointing. Now we get to my thoughts on some upcoming trailers. Now, I don't want... Really, the only two that I want to talk about is Spiral and The Green Knight. So I'll start with Spiral from the Book of Saw. The Saw sequel, spin-off, reboot, whatever it is, that was, I think, written by Chris Rock or co-written, and Chris Rock is also starring in it. The trailer really didn't do that much for me, I gotta be honest. I just don't really feel like there's a need for any more Saw movies, even if it is a spin-off with a new flair and a new take. It's still from the Book of Saw. Can we just do something like original? Can it just be its own thing? I would have been more interested in it if it was its own thing and it wasn't a spin-off of Saw. I think we have plenty of Saw movies. We don't need any more, whether or not it's from the mind of Saw or the book of Saw or whatever it is. Um, and Chris Rock, I'll be curious to check it out. But from what I saw in the trailer, he definitely looks like he's out of his comfort zone, and it definitely doesn't look like something that he's really comfortable with, or something that he has the innate ability to really pull off. I mean, we'll see. He's done some serious work, but not in this kind of capacity. So we'll see how this works. And I'm rooting for him. I really am pulling for Chris Rock. I hope he blows me away. But from what I saw in the trailer, it just looked like he was just holding himself back. Like he was just deliberately trying to not be funny or not be too charismatic. He was like, take me seriously. Like it kind of came across that way to me. Like, come on, take me seriously. I'm not a funny man. This isn't a comedy. This isn't a Def Jam comedy tour. Like, this is real shit. And I'm like, okay, all right, but I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where either he'll do amazing or he'll fail spectacularly. I don't really think there's going to be an in between with Chris Rock and his role in this film. Samuel Jackson being in it, okay. I mean, he's in everything. So is it really that big of a deal? Visually, I mean, it's just one of those things where it just didn't really impress me that much. I'll give it a watch. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a fair shake, but it didn't really do anything for me. I got to be perfectly honest. The trailer that did do something for me and really surprised me is the Green. I think it is the Green Knight. I believe that's what it's called. Wow, like that was really cool. A24 with a budget, doing something that isn't their typical art house indie horror, doing more of a fantasy thing, which I think is really cool and really unique, especially for A24. The visual style, look, and flair in this trailer is fantastic. Looks like there's some practical stuff. The director definitely knows his way around a camera. It looked like a really visually stunning film. And I like fantasy films, and I like films that take place in the medieval era. And so, yeah, I am really honestly curious about that one. I might even check that one out in the theater when it comes out in the summer. It really came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't know anything about this movie, didn't even know that there was going to be a Green Knight movie or, anything like that. So, really came out, and it was a very pleasant surprise, at least for me personally. I know there's going to be, there's a rumored another Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot, a Lethal Weapon 5, Indiana Jones 5, another Nightmare on Elm Street. Elijah Wood talked about his concept. I was like, whatever. I mean, at this point, it's just like, we don't need any more. Like Pink Floyd says, we don't need no education. It's like, we don't need no horror remakes or reboots at all. Because we really don't. We don't need any more. But, look at the box office take for Halloween 2018. Like, that film was a huge hit. And this is the hell that wrought. More remakes, more sequels, and more franchises that will never, ever die. And, hey, to each their own. If it's something you're looking forward to, or you want to see more Leatherface movies, or you want to see more Ghostface movies, or more Chucky, or more Jason, or any of these other horror icons, Freddy, but I honestly think they've run their course. They're like the Universal monsters. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are like the Universal monsters who got driven into the ground until they were just a joke and they were overplayed, and it becomes such an aspect of popular culture that there was really no need to do anymore for decades. And I think we're already at that point. But as long as those films keep making bank in the box office, we're going to get more of them. Because that's how Hollywood operates. Instead of doing something unique or original or putting money into something like that or a new franchise, if, you know, it doesn't make any money and it bombs, like something like Antlers, which I'm honestly going to go see, and I'm going to pay to see when it comes out because I like the trailer, and it looks like a really potentially gripping and creepy horror film, and it's fairly unique. So if those films don't make any money or they don't do that well in the box office, then they're not going to make more of those. They're going to greenlit and they're going to put more of their effort into doing sequels of already established franchises or more reboots or another remake. That's just how it is, because the box office take is what matters the most. I mean, look at something like Dread. It's not a horror film, but it was a great movie, but it bombed, and you're not getting any more Dread films because it didn't do very well. So, I mean, it's just a common thing. But anyway, that's it. That's really all I have to say. I guess if I were to say some more things, maybe give a little bit of an update on what's coming next on the channel. So, I do have some Patreon requests already, and for those of you who have requested them, they will be available on Patreon as soon as I can get them up. For you, for non-Patreon users, they will be up on YouTube whenever I get caught up with my current schedule. And for those of you who are curious, they're reviews of the House on Haunted Hill films and the animated film Wicked City. There are also some other requests, but they're a little bit lengthier, so they're going to take me a little bit longer to get done and to get together. But what I have coming up next is the Bad Boys trilogy. I talked about the original Bad Boy, Axel Foley. Now I'm going to talk about the Bad Boys, because I did see Bad Boys for Life a few weeks ago, and I did enjoy it, and I watched the first two films again, and I had a lot of fun with them, so I wanted to sit down and talk about them. Then I do have some reviews planned of some random stuff, just some random stuff from 2019 that I'm curious about that I still haven't gotten a chance to see or share my thoughts on. Also, I am working on putting together a multi-part interview series of videos, and it's called Interview Series because it really is a series of interviews. It's only one interview, but it's going to be broken up into multiple parts because I recorded like 2 hours of footage with screenwriter Larry Block, who wrote The Funhouse. So I chatted with him. We had a really great, fun conversation. And so I'm going to be going all out with pictures and video. Might even get permission from Universal through Larry to use clips in from the Funhouse for this first part of the video, because the first part of the interview series will be about the Funhouse. The second part will be about his time working with Stan Lee and with Canon Films with adaptations of Captain America, Doctor Strange, and the Fantastic Four that ultimately did not get made. And then the third part is about some other stuff that he worked on, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the film Redline with Rutger Hauer and Mark Dacascos, as well as some other stuff that he did. And a little bit of a sneak peek at what he's trying to do and what he's hoping he's going to be able to do with the Funhouse remake, which is something that he's in the process of working on. And even someone like Greg Nicotero is actually wanting to be heavily involved with it. But anyway, yeah, so that's going to be in the works too, but that's going to take a while because I want to make it really like great in terms of the quality, in terms of the edits, in terms of all the different stuff that goes on. So those will be up when they're up, but they are a work in progress for sure. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.